I've always asked myself that childhood in humans lasts up to 18 to 22 years. But in our closest relative, the chimpanzee, childhood lasts just 8 years. And so you wonder why that is. Well, you can blame it on this. This is a brain cell. It is called a neuron. This is not a brain cell. This is me when I was 3 months old. Yes. I wasn't thinking that I was going to give a TED talk anytime soon, but I had a lot on my mind. At least I had a lot of neurons on my mind, about 90 billion of them. And we're going to come back to these neurons in a few minutes. As a pediatrician, to help me to understand what the purpose of childhood is, or why childhood was so long, I asked myself, what is the purpose of childhood? And I came to this conclusion, that the purpose of childhood is independent survival. Now, how you survive depends on who you are. This wildebeest calf beside its mother had to be able to run within a few minutes of birth for it to be able to survive. But for the human infant, survival is so much more than running around. It requires the acquisition of a very complex set of skills for which it is dependent on its brain, which is where those 90 billion neurons come in. We are going to need to learn things like speech and language, and things like nonverbal communication, and things like wherever you go, wherever you see, do not say yes when you... Baba. You see, you are using your brain. But the human infant is in no such rush because it has a lot of, very important skills to mention. So these 90 billion neurons help us to acquire those skills. And so in the first 2 years of life, our brains have to grow very quickly, very early, such that by the time we are 2 years old, our brain would have reached 80% of the size that they will be as adults, meaning that is a very critical, narrow window for which we must grow very quickly. That being said, because our brain needs to grow so fast, we have sacrificed growing up fast in our bodies so that we can grow up smart. Because our brain consumes 50% of all the energy that we will take in the first 2 years of our lives. It's almost like as if it neglects the body to feed the brain. Growing up fast has been sacrificed so that we can grow up smart. But you see, you think that the baby is just using all that energy to find new ways of keeping mommy and daddy awake at 3 a.m. No. It's actually doing two important things. It is conducting myelination and synaptogenesis. And I'm going to tell you about these two important processes. These processes help the brain to work in a very cohesive way, such that all the information we get, our memory, our learning capacity is improved by these two processes. But what really drives these two processes? It is two important things: nutrition and something very unlikely, play. Now, nutrition, of course, is going to come from things like infant formula and breast milk. So infant formula and breast milk, as well as the locally readily available foods that we find in our environment. Then play, of course, whether it's peekaboo, crawling with the child on the ground, it stimulates their sensory and their hearing such that the child is going to be able to coordinate their movements and everything else that has to do with learning. So, why does any of this matter? 142 million children globally, unfortunately, will not get the opportunity for their brain to be optimally stimulated as a result of severe malnutrition. 142 million, that's no joke. And with play, it's not even much better because 1 in 10 children globally actually will have less stimulation. 1 in 10 children between the ages of 2 and 4 years old will have inadequate stimulation on account of poor interaction with their caregivers. So what does this actually mean? It means that these 142 million children are going to have challenges in school. They might drop out, they will earn less, and might give birth to children who in turn will be malnourished and have challenges also. So what can we do for ourselves? For those of us here who already have children or who plan to have children in the near future, well, nutrition is not just about filling bellies, it is about fueling brains. And that is so important because this is a concept that says that we should offer our children healthy and balanced diets from the moment they are born. When it comes to play, play is serious business for children because it helps their brains to become creative and to become curious. But I see malnourished children in my practice every single day. But for the millions of children that you and I will never meet, that is why I'm on this stage. To encourage governments, to encourage non-profits as well as policymakers to make sure that we prioritize investments in early child nutrition programs and play so that we are investing in our children the way we should. So, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that at the end of the day, we never know which child is going to be born that will actually find the cure to cancer, or who will be a design advocate, a world record-holding dance champion, a disability advocate. We don't know if that child is going to be a creative storyteller, or a global comedian and entertainer, or even stand on this red circle the way you're looking at me, giving the next big TED Talk idea that could save all our lives. Thank you very much.